What's going on, everybody? I want to do another video today on a company called WEJO. Company recently went public through a SPAC merger, and they've got a lot of exciting things going on with Palantir, Microsoft, um, potentially even Amazon, but we'll get to that. I'm going to go through this deck for you, but first, a little bit about WEJO. They are a company that specializes in connected vehicle data analytics, and the company was recently featured on Palantir's earnings call as part of a pre-recorded case study. WEJO recently went public through a SPAC merger and listed on the NASDAQ 2 weeks ago. The stock has gotten hit pretty badly, but I've started to see I've started to see kind of mention of it around Twitter, FinTwit. More and more YouTubers are posting about it. I do not have a position in the stock. I am considering starting one. The way the company came on my radar is that a channel that I follow called ticker symbol U did an hour-long interview with the CEO, and I will put a link to that in the description if you have the time. I think it's a very worthwhile video to learn about exactly what WeJo is doing and where they're going. But for now, I'm just going to kind of go through the deck. And before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind liking this video, sharing this video, and consider subscribing to the channel, it would help me out a ton. I've been posting a lot recently, mostly about the moves I'm making in my portfolio, as well as other companies that I'm sort of weighing investments in. And, for the record, I mostly invest in technology companies. That's what interests me the most, and that's what I understand the best. So if you're interested in technology and you want to learn something, feel free to comment. I read all the comments and I try to write back. And if you would consider subscribing to the channel, it would really help me out. Okay, so in this video, let's get into what WeJo technology actually does and why companies like Palantir and Microsoft and General Motors are partnering with this fascinating company. Some of the challenges that the automotive industry faces is the scale of data from cars, and that includes things like real-time traffic alerting, parking availability detection, road conditions, and these things can have long-term effects and benefits when it comes to solving problems such as road congestion and reducing emissions. And so Microsoft recently partnered with WeJo as its primary cloud provider. Microsoft's Azure platform and WeJo are building cloud infrastructure that can be placed in the right locations to enable edge processing. And a real world example of this could be helping to reduce a traffic accident through real time data modeling. And WeJo, as a cloud platform, I think really should not be underestimated. The company only works with OEMs, and their partners are eager to continue collecting all of this important vehicle data to drive effective solutions for the automotive market. All of this is being built on Azure's platform, so Microsoft certainly stands to benefit as well. And just to kind of put this into context, and how much data are we really talking about here? According to the company, they collect more than 16 billion data points across a network of 11 million live vehicles per day. The company's new partnership with Palantir is helping them unlock its collection of roughly 12 trillion data points to define the future of mobility. So, if we look at their investor presentation, we can see that here are some of the areas where they're calling connected vehicle data sensors. And so again, looking at sensors on the headlights, pressures for your brakes, EV charge levels if you have an electronic vehicle, impact severity. This is where like airbags would be, road conditions. There's all sorts of things here. And we can see, they're saying, okay, we're the leader in connected vehicle insights. Look at their strategic investors. You've got General Motors, Microsoft, again, with the Azure partnership, and Palantir. And like I said, I'll include a link to Palantir's earnings presentation or earnings call. I definitely would recommend listening to it, A, if you're just a fan of Palantir, but B, the case study, which was pre-recorded as to how Palantir and WeJo are working together, was very, very fascinating. So WeJo, it has this platform called WeJo Cloud, or they're calling it WeJo Adept, and it's really the combination of WeJo Adept and Microsoft Azure that is really exciting as the company keeps aggregating all this data, and Microsoft and Palantir are helping them store it in the most compliant and secure way, and then also making something of it. What we need to keep in mind here is that Wejo's selling point is that they have one of their selling points is they have more data collected than Tesla. And at first glance, you would think that can't possibly be true, but it does make sense because as we're going to see later in this deck, since they only work with OEMs, they're basically working with every other major car, company out there besides Tesla. And so it makes sense that they would have a lot more data because there's only so many Teslas on the road. And for the record, I am a Tesla bull. I have a pretty large position in Tesla. It's the second largest position in my portfolio, and I haven't sold a single share. So this is not a dump on Tesla video. I just want to make it clear that I don't really see Wejo or Tesla ever really working together, and I certainly don't think Tesla would acquire a company like Wejo. So if you're thinking, oh, the stock is only $6, it's ripe for an acquisition target, and somewhere someone like Tesla could come up and gobble them up, I don't think it would really benefit Wejo to only work with Tesla, right? I mean, Tesla has their own technology. Wejo's clearly trying to help everybody else in the automotive industry. And so this is a company that I think if you are interested in sort of big data and big data analytics, it's definitely worth a look on your radar. The company is very small. This is why I don't have a position in it right now. I think, again, a lot of times with these SPACs, you have to really kind of try to figure out what exactly you're buying here. But I do think that, as we'll see, there's a lot of exciting things in this deck that, if they come to fruition, this could be a very large company in a relatively short amount of time. And so something that I thought was interesting was that they have this. Well, let's get into the total market opportunity. So they're saying that the connected vehicle data market is $500 billion in size, and that that's their TAM, total addressable market, and then their SAM, serviceable addressable market, is a little more than 10% of that, right? 61 billion. And again, remember, when it comes to connected vehicles, Tesla is going to have a pretty good portion of this market, and so it doesn't surprise me that they have this huge TAM, but then they're saying their SAM is obviously a lot smaller than that. But look, a $60 billion serviceable addressable market is obviously still quite huge, especially over the next 10 years. As more just devices in general become connected and this whole concept of the Internet of Things continues to grow and grow and grow, it's very possible that this number could end up being much larger 10 years from now. So something that I thought was cool was Wejo's growth, where they kind of are and where they want to go. And there's all these amazing logos here. And this is just speculation, okay? But I don't think that Wejo would be putting Geico, Allstate, State Farm, Hertz, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, AAA, Bosch, all these incredible logos and different use cases in the ride sharing and rentals market, in roadside assistance, in the insurance industry, fleet management services. I don't think they'd be putting this on here if the conversations weren't already actually happening. So again, I definitely don't want to be on the record saying that, they're going to be partnering with these, top tier insurance companies and ride sharing platforms, roadside assistance companies. But I think it's definitely possible that there's a lot of strategic discussions already happening. And for that reason, it's companies like Wejo that get me very excited, because I think that these kinds of companies that are sort of they're basically stuck in industries that are ripe for innovation. But as good as these companies are, a lot of them are, kind of, I don't want to say stuck in the past, but they're looking for strategic alliances. They're looking for investments to make so that they can get ahead in sort of a technology first or tech enabled way. And perhaps Wejo is, a good way forward for them to do that. Let's skip on here. This is just a lot of, videos and, frankly, just fluff. But look, engages with OEMs and tier one, again, they're working with GM, Volkswagen, Renault, Honda, BMW, Nissan, Toyota, Hyundai, Daimler, Jaguar, Bentley, Audi, Ford, Subaru, Lucid. They're pretty much working with all of the major car companies. Again, no Tesla logo in here, probably not going to be, but there's a ton of just with these logos alone, there's so much data. I mean, there's just so many of these. Think about when you go out. I guess what I'm trying to say is when you go out, think about how many of these cars you see, right? Again, as a Tesla bull, I get very excited whenever I see a Tesla driving around. But the fact of the matter is I see a lot more Hyundais, Toyotas, and Volkswagens, and Nissans and BMWs, and so on and so forth. And Wejo's helping, all of those companies. So that's what's most exciting to me is they're already, kind of have penetrated most of the major sort of legacy car companies, right? Customer engagement, this is pretty interesting. They've got some, pipeline customers with, insurance companies, as well as other, kind of data aggregators, and then they've got some live customers, which again, Microsoft, SAIC. It's interesting. Who really knows, how much these are contributing to the company overall? I mean, again, the company's still company's still quite small. One logo that I don't see on here, and that could very well be on purpose, is in the interview with ticker symbol U. The CEO of Wejo mentions that they are working with the largest e-commerce company in the world. I would assume that's probably Amazon. And if that's true, I could very much see that Amazon does not want their logo anywhere on these investor decks. Amazon, obviously, a lot of what they do is pretty secret, pretty tight-lipped, but it would not shock me at all. And just to go on a little bit of a anecdotal here, I recently was talking to an Amazon delivery driver. He was dropping off a package in my neighborhood, and he was saying that the cars that they drive collect all sorts of data. They have sensors in them to that can tell if the seatbelt is on, or if the drivers are wearing their seatbelts or not. They have sensors to feel how long a car stops at a stop sign. They have sensors that can detect if the cars go into a turn too roughly, right? Obviously, when you're turning your car, you're supposed to slow down and then kind of ease into the turn. It's pretty amazing that Amazon is monitoring all of this data in all of their cars. If you think about how big the company is and how many packages they're delivering on a daily basis. And so I have a feeling that Wejo very well could be helping them collect this data and process this data and make something of it so that Amazon can obviously enforce proper procedures and protocols for their drivers so that, they're driving safely, packages get delivered, there's no accidents, things like that. This is all the stuff, we're powering multiple marketplaces. This is just very standard marketing kind of, now they're going to say that they're going to disrupt insurance and media and leasing and roadside assistance and car rentals. Again, this is all super exciting stuff. But this is what we need to focus on. This is Wejo today. This is Wejo, in the next 5 to 10 years, right? If everything goes according to plan. So today they're basically doing traffic management and, kind of audience and media measurement, right? So again, I think that there's a lot of exciting use cases in insurance and car rentals and roadside assistance, even payments, but they're not there yet. So if you're going to be buying Wejo for, kind of where they could be in the future, it's interesting, but remember, there a lot of things have to go right. This company is still small. I would think that there's going to be dilution along the way, secondary offerings for them to raise capital at some point. But look, I want to give the company credit. Palantir and Microsoft wouldn't be partnering with them or General Motors if this company, wasn't any good. So, in some ways, I definitely don't want to sound like I'm being too harsh or too hard on them. I just want to make it really, really clear that this is a small company. And so if you're investing in it, it's kind of like investing in a startup right now. They have this great product roadmap with, they're going to get into predictive analytics. There's all sorts of things that they can do here. So, look, I'll put a link to this deck in the description below. I don't want to, I don't want this video to be too long, but again, I would very much encourage listening to the interview with ticker symbol U. I'll put a couple of other interviews with, the CEO of the company on CNBC, really sharp guy, smart guy. But here we go. Here's the financials. I mean, they only did $1 million in revenue last year. They're supposed to do 4 million this year. This is the kind of growth where it gets pretty crazy. By 2025, they're saying they're going to be over 760 million in revenue. So to go from $1 million in revenue to 760 million is pretty insane. So if they can get there, more power to them with, very nice EBITDA margins as well. But I guess the way that I think about it is, look, there are companies that are doing billions of dollars on a quarterly basis, let alone annual. And you even have companies like Palantir that are now, going to do 1.5 billion this year, and they're guiding to grow at 30% every year for the next 4 years. So it'll be in the multi billions, by 2025. But at the same time, Palantir was private for almost 2 decades. It was like 15 years or 17 years or something. And so it took them a long, long time to get them to where they are today. So I don't want to say that this is certainly a bad investment. I think this could be a revolutionary company. The fact of the matter is, I do think at some point someone will acquire them. I don't think it's going to be Tesla. I don't think it's really even going to be a car company because, again, why would they sell to one car company when they're helping power, dozens of them? I think at the end of the day, a company like Microsoft or Google or Palantir, someone like that could potentially acquire WEJO, because those are the companies that could work with all of those same vehicle companies as well. I don't see, Toyota or someone saying, okay, we just need to have this technology and, we'll license it out or something like that. So, company's still operating at a loss. They have a ton of cash on their balance sheet because of the SPAC. They raised a ton of proceeds. But again, like a lot of these SPACs, I wouldn't be surprised if there's dilution, and I would not be surprised if dilution along the way, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit rocky as they kind of navigate how they're gonna hit these growth targets. But at the end of the day, super 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 interesting piece of technology. I think there's a lot of use cases, and again, the stock has gotten whacked since it's backed. So if you're looking to kind of make an entry investment, I would take a look at this deck. I would watch the interviews in the description. And look, I think this could be a long-term winner. But again, as I said in my other video, just about SPACs in general, these, in my mind, are still basically private companies. So if you have the patience for a 5 to 10 year plus time horizon, that's great. I think that's about how long it's going to take for some of these to really play out and see if they're even viable businesses. But look, who knows? I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. I want to know, kind of your thoughts about this company, its technology. And, again, I try to read the comments. I read them all. I try to respond to them all. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I really appreciate you watching. Thanks.